What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you Week 7 of Season 5 of CPC Majors, and this week I am up against Mio and his Oklahoma City Thundurus with one of the sickest logos in draft format that I have seen, period. So, I mean, yeah, you guys saw that in the thumbnail, and wow, that's honestly just a super sick logo. And unfortunately, last week we did lose at the hands of Gypsy King, so we are now 6-1, or 5-1, sorry, not 6-1. No, I wish I was 6-1, but we are 5-1 and looking to go 6-1 this week and potentially be one step closer to clinching a spot in playoffs. And yeah, I mean, Mio took over for a team that was winless and unfortunately is still winless in himself. But the thing is, he has stepped in, made some changes, and his team is very threatening. Like that team, there is nothing to mess with right there. It definitely annoys me. He has some very annoying mons to my team, and it's going to be very interesting. I mean, first of all, you have I'm just going to start from the bottom, actually. I mean, you have Hoopa Unbound, and I mean, Hoopa, even though it's not as good in draft format as it is in just regular showdown in like OU and stuff like that, I mean, you still have insane attack, special attack, and myriad of sets that Hoopa can run. So, I mean, it's still, if you underestimate that thing, you are going to get absolutely punished, and punished incredibly hard. He has Infernape that can run a ton of sets as well. Skarmory is always annoying, can run specially defensive or defensive. Shaman just doesn't die. Mamoswine is very difficult for my team to deal with, as my typical physical wall is 4x weak to Mamo, so that's a problem. Primarina hits everything hard, and Mega Pidgeot, my team has no flying resist, so it can run Mono Hurricane and then 3 support moves, which is going to be difficult, and then of course Haxorus just being Haxorus. So basically, he has a team that I'm going to have trouble handling. Like, there are just so many threats, and the team that I ended up coming up with ended up being, I'm happy with what I came up with, but it's still, his team is terrifying, so I'm going to have to play very well in order to deal with it. That being said, I am noticing that his team is very, very reliant on Skarmory as a physical wall, and once that thing goes down, a lot of my physical threats just absolutely go ham on him. There's really not a whole lot he can do outside of Skarmory for my physical threats, so that's kind of going to be the game plan. Just wear down Skarmory, get rocks up, and go from there, and the rocks part I will explain a little bit later in terms of the game plan. But yeah, it's just overwhelm Skarmory is going to be the way I need to go, and keep his threats from sweeping me, basically, is going to be the gist of my whole game plan. So first, for starters, we have Landorus, Therian, Big Body Brawlic, and I'm bringing this guy every single week. I mean, Landorus is just really, really good. Like, it has enough sets that it can run to where you're never exactly sure what it can do. Unfortunately, on my team, it's a little bit pigeonholed, so I'm just going to go ahead and say my team is not conducive to Landorus being as good as it can be, just because it's the makeup of my team and the way I had to adjust what I was able to pick up, and the fact that I didn't draft it didn't allow Landorus, in my opinion, to show its full potential. But nonetheless, it is still a very big threat, and this set I went back and forth on for a long time. First of all, I knew that Landorus was going to be my rocker because Druddigon was not a potential bring for me, just because it had a pretty bad matchup overall, given Mamoswine, Primarina, and Haxorus in particular, as well as, you know, like Skarmory. So Druddigon just did not have a good enough matchup, so Landorus was 100% going to be my rocker. And then his team does not like rocks at all, with Mega Pidge being weak to it, and then nothing even resisting it. So rocks getting crucial chip damage would be necessary. So rocks were a 100% bring. Earthquake was for just hitting things neutrally, like Haxorus hitting Primarina neutrally, Okoing Infernape, that type of thing. Just a good stab to have. Superpower was, I kind of went back and forth on this set a lot. So first of all, it started off with U-Turn Earthquake Superpower, just because U-Turn Okos, Hoopa, and all that good stuff. Knockoff is for potential getting rid of Rocky Helmet on Skarmory, just getting rid of items, just a nice spammable move that has very little drawback. And then Superpower for superpower to be able to potentially Oko Mamoswine, particularly with the Yachi Berry. Now, I went back and forth between Yachi and Fightium. I ultimately decided on Yachi because of Rox's because of Stealth Rock's importance in this game. The EV spread, I am Jolly with 168 in order to outspeed Jolly / Timid Hoopa and Jolly Mamoswine. Mamoswine is not going to be timid. The HP is to guaranteed survive a Choice Banded Icicle Crash from full from Mamo, and that is Jolly, not Adamant. And then rocks were super important in this game, so Yachi was used over Fightium so that I had a better chance of being able to get that up with my Landorus. My Kangaskhan set was one that I actually spent a ton of time on. Work up, just to be able to boost my attack and special attack, because Kangaskhan in itself forces switches, and it forces them a lot. So my way of punishing my opponent for potentially switching is to have work up to boost both my attack and special attack, Fire Blast for Skarmory and just Skarmory, Double Edge for absolutely nuking something, and then Drain Punch for being able to somewhat mitigate Rocky Helmet and Double Edge damage from Kangaskhan, and also just be able to hit stuff and heal up some of that HP. So I'm going to go through this a little bit faster than I normally do, just because, I mean, hey, like, you guys want to see that battle, that's what you're here for. The speed is to speed creep Haxorus, speed creeping Jolly Landorus. Now, Jolly Landorus at max speed hits 309. So Jolly Haxorus speed creeping my Landorus would hit 310, so Kangaskhan hit 311 to try to just be aggressively speed creeping on that. The attack is to guaranteed Oko 0-0 Mamo at +1 after rocks with Drain Punch, and then there were other relevant attack calcs, all of which were less than 84 investment. This was just the one that ended up being the highest one that I could realistically hit while still having good bulk and good speed and whatnot. I think one of them was like Okoing Shaman at +1, Okoing Primarina after rocks at neutral, something to that effect. Like, there were just other relevant calcs that 84 ended up being the highest number, so that was what I went with. 76 special attack was to guaranteed Oko fully defensive Skarmory from full at +1 with Fire Blast. So this wouldn't account for any special defense that he would potentially put on Skarmory. This would just be for fully defensive Skarm, so essentially just max HP Skarm from full with Fire Blast at +1. So that is the Kang set, and my entire strategy really is to just use Landorus to get up rocks. Landorus, I'm not using it to its full potential, like I said, but Landorus's job in this game is to get up rocks and then potentially get a Rocky Helmet off, maybe knock out Mamoswine with Superpower. With this investment, I don't guarantee knock out Mamoswine with Superpower from full. This does like 80 to 90 something, so like with rocks, I think I can Oko it with Superpower, so that's a situation that I might run into in the game. But overall, this Lando's job is to get up rocks, maybe get rid of a couple items here and there, and then just do some damage. So also, one thing I forgot to mention and why I went back to Lando, I had U-turn initially for Hoopa, and then I switched it to Knockoff and Superpower, because I initially had it was like U-turn, Earthquake, and then either Knockoff or Superpower. I switched U-turn out for the other move, because while U-turn does guaranteed Oko Hoopa, Earthquake Oko's non-invested Hoopa after rocks, and I figured that he's going to be bringing offensive Hoopa. He's not going to be bringing a super bulky Hoopa against me. So I just decided to go with Earthquake, because that will do the job more often than not, and I feel like I'm not going to necessarily need U-turn as much as I would want Knockoff and Superpower, the combination of both. And back to Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan is not going to be sweeping in this game. I just want it to break through. If I can use it to get rid of just Skarm, and that's the trade I make, then 100%. I'm willing to get rid of Kang just to get rid of the Skarmory, maybe get rid of the Mamoswine, the Primarina, the Hoopa, just something. If I can trade if I can trade Kangaskhan for either, okay, one for one, I will trade Kangaskhan for Skarmory, but other than that, if I can get a kill and then another little bit of damage off with Kangaskhan, I'm willing to do that. Also, I'd be willing to 1-for-1 Kangaskhan for Mega Pidge, just because that thing is such a threat to me, and Double Edge can just nuke some stuff. And then 160 HP makes Kangaskhan very bulky, not able to take things like Choice Banded Drain Punch, I think, from Hoopa, but I outspeed an Oko that with Drain Punch with Double Edge anyway. But like close combat from Infernape, I think I might have a chance to live. I don't know. I didn't specifically calc for that. I just gave Kangaskhan a bunch of HP. The Cresselia set is very important and is actually a set that I spent a ton of time on. I mean, Kangaskhan I spent the most time on, but Cress I went back and forth a ton. So first of all, Cress is going to have to be my Megapidge, my Infernape, my Mamoswine, my Premier. Basically, Cresselia is going to have to check a whole heck of a lot. Like, just plain and simple, Cresselia's job is to just live until I punch a hole into his team and am able to sweep with something else. But yeah, Cress's job is early, just wear things down, keep me from being swept by his threats until my threats are in a position to sweep. Moonlight is obviously for the ability to have recovery, because, you know, that's kind of nice, especially if I'm not running lefties, which, I mean, why I'm not running lefties I'll get to in a little bit. Signal Beam is for Hoopa, just to be able to have it not come in on Cress and take advantage of it. I mean, Hoopa coming in on Cress is pretty easy, because even Signal Beam is hardly a 2-hit KO. In fact, it only has a very small chance to 2-hit KO. So a 4 times effective, super effective attack, barely 2-hit KOs. That shows how much Hoopa takes advantage of Cress. And so Signal Beam is my only attacking move, because I feel like that's what I need for Hoopa. Cress's job is to just check his threats, and I feel like between Moonlight and Toxic and Rocks and stuff like that, I should be able to wear down his stuff enough. Now, Toxic was originally Psychic because of Infernape, but I realized that Toxic lets me better take on things like Mega Pidgeot, Mamoswine, Primarina. Just basically it lets me hit things harder on the switch. Lets me hit things harder. There we go. And Psychic isn't doing crap to Cress anyway, so neither is Toxic. So I really ultimately came down to, I felt like he was going to be bringing a bulky Mega Pidgeot against me, and Toxic let me deal with that thing better, while also, I mean, I take on Infernape regardless, and then Tentacruel can help out if Infernape does get out of hand. So there's that, and finally Lunar Dance. I feel like I might have to just use Kang to break a hole, and then it's going to get low, and then I can use Cress to Lunar Dance back into that. That way I will be able to punch a further hole. Basically, I just feel like one of my threats is going to need to be brought back up to full at some point. It's going to take a heavy hit to where they won't be able to recover it off on their own against his Mons, and I will have to use Cress. So Cress basically keep me from being swept, slowly wear down his stuff, and then once I'm in a position where one of my other threats is low, I can just use Cress to Lunar Dance them back up and be in a better position as well. So that's basically what Cress is designed for. The speed is to speed creep Modest Primarina, as Cresselia is my pivot around it. The rest in HP and defense to be able to better chew hits from like Infernape, Hoopa, Haxorus, stuff like that. And then, yeah, I mean, just basically chew hits better, as it does beat Mega Pidge anyway, and it lets me take hits from Infernape, Mamoswine, Haxorus better. Now, Colbur Berry I ended up using over Leftovers, because I initially tried Leftovers in a couple of my mocks. Just passive recovery would be really nice. But then I realized Cress actually has a chance to take a Choice Banded Hyperspace Fury from a Hoopa. So I decided to go Colbur on Cress. That way I do guaranteed get off at least a Signal Beam on Hoopa, because in a lot of instances, a tiny bit of damage on Hoopa makes all of the difference, and you will see, particularly with the Tentacruel set later, why getting damage on Hoopa is so crucial. Crobat is one of my win cons. Now, I have 2 win cons this game. Crobat and Scizor. Crobat is one of them because apart from Skarmory and Luxray, but I mean, come on, it's Luxray, his team does not take on Flying Spam very well. Crobat outspeeds his Flying Spam and counters with Flying Spam of its own in Brave Bird, so that, I mean, as soon as I saw his team, it was like, wow, he only has Skarmory for Brave Bird spam. So I immediately was like, offensive Crobat, this thing is going to put in absolute work or just be able to do something very significant. So Brave Bird, just for the Flying Spam, Roost for longevity, Heat Wave to be able to take on Skarmory, just another way of taking on Skarmory. Like, Crobat destroys things with Brave Bird. His only way of not getting destroyed by Brave Bird is to go into Skarmory, and Skarmory I beat with the combination of Roost, Heat Wave, and Taunt, because even if he Brave Birds me, he gets chipped down with Recoil, so I can just Roost that off, taunt him, keep him from roosting, setting up rocks, spikes, whirlwinding, taunting of his own, that type of thing. So this Crobat is basically just designed to Brave Bird spam into being able to beat Skarmory with its other 3 moves. As for its EV spread, the speed is for Timid Mega Pidgeot. The special attack is to 3-hit KO fully defensive Skarm with Rocky Helmet. This does not take leftovers damage or leftovers recovery into account because, I mean, he's almost guaranteed to bring Rocky Helmet Skarmory as his answer to Mega Kang. So I'm anticipating that a Skarmory will not have lefties recovery. So 3-hit KOing fully defensive Skarm with Heat Wave in only for 12 EVs was like, you know what, might as well go for that. Close to max attack and then HP, just throw the rest into that just to be able to take hits a little bit better. I decided to go 1 less attack and 1 more in HP because, I mean, just hit a better HP number so that it's not weak to rocks. Now, this is the set. I will admit this was a Jolt suggested set. So I couldn't really figure out what to have in my 6th slot, and he suggested Scarf Tentacruel to be able to take on things like Infernape, Outspeed Mega Pidge, Haxorus, and even though Tentacruel is laughably weak, I mean, come on, modest max investment, and it only hits 284. That's honestly kind of laughable. Tentacruel has enough coverage to where it actually can do a significant dent in this game. I mean, Surf spam against him is very good. Like, it Oko's Infernape, has a chance to Oko Mamoswine. I mean, those 2 in particular are very big threats to my team, so being able to reliably revenge kill those is huge. Sludge Bomb is great for things like Shaman and Primarina. Hidden Power Bug. Jolt was kind of wondering, like, why do you want Hidden Power Bug if you have Rapid Spin, if you can have Rapid Spin? Well, I felt Hidden Power Bug would be better for me because he'd be pressured to defog on his own with Skarmory or Mega Pidgeot, and defog's his only way of hazard control. So I figured if I prioritize getting up rocks, he will have to get rid of my rocks for me, or rocks on my side for me, so I don't really have to worry about that as much. So I can run Hidden Power Bug to hit Hoopa just a little bit harder, and granted this only does like 60% to Hoopa. That's where damage from Signal Beam comes into play, and finally Ice Beam to be able to hit Mega Pidgeot and Haxorus harder than any of my other moves would. The speed is to guaranteed outspeed, like things like Scarf Hoopa, Scarf Mamoswine, that type of thing. The rest in special attack to be able to hit as hard as possible with 80 special attack and 60 in HP just to take like Mach Punch, Ice Shard, that type of stuff that would be priority to try to take down fast Tentacle. And finally, I have my other win con, Swords Dance Scizor. Now, Mamoswine is a gigantic threat to my team, and I initially put fully defensive Scizor on this team to alleviate the pressure from Cress a little bit so that I would have another answer to Mamoswine so that I can save Cress's Colbur Berry for Hoopa and just have it take on things like Infernape and Mega Pidgeot, and Scizor can take on Mamoswine. So it was fully defensive until I realized that I don't guarantee Oko Hoopa with +2 Bullet Punch after rocks, so I put in enough investment so that I would have that guarantee on 0-0 Hoopa, and then the rest is just in HP and defense to be able to take hits from Mamoswine and other stuff if I need it to, even though it's mainly just for Mamoswine. And this is honestly a super easy win con once Skarm and Infernape are gone. Like, all I need to do is just come in on like Mamoswine or a Choice Locked Hoopa, get up +2, and then just win. Roost, Bullet Punch, Knockoff are all I need, and then Swords Dance is for boosting. I mean, Knockoff I can spam early game just to try to get rid of Skarm's Rocky Helmet, because the quicker I get rid of that, the better time I will have. And so, yeah, Scizor is just, I mean, it's defensive, but it is my other win con. So, yeah, that's the team, and let's just go ahead and hop right on over to the game. Alrighty, so we have got the game against Mio, and his team is pretty much exactly what I would have expected. I mean, that was what I saw, like, that was the most consistent, the most consistent mons that I saw in my mocks. I mean, you don't not bring Hoopa. Hoopa is ridiculously good and just kind of gets a kill against my team. Skarm is amazing, same with all of his other mons, so this is pretty much what I expected. I kind of anticipate that he's going to lead Mamoswine in order to counter my potential Landorus lead, which is definitely a possibility just for me to try to get up rocks as soon as possible. So I'm going to lead with my Mega Kangaskhan, maybe just get a workup off in order to be able to bring in the Skarmory as his initial switch and then get rid of that thing early, as he does lead with his Mega Pidge, and I'm just going to go for a workup thinking that he's immediately going to go into his Skarm just to see what type of play he goes for in the face of Mega Kangaskhan. And I mean, Admittedly, if he goes for a Hurricane, then Mega Kangaskhan is potentially 2-hit KO'd depending on his investment, but I decided to be a little bit aggressive and turn 1, just go for the workup, as he does stay in and goes for the Feather Dance, so that is a very good play on his part, as I am going to go for the workup. I'm at -1 attack but +1 special attack, and he goes for the Hurricane. It will be a 2-hit KO and gets a Confusion, but luckily I do hit through that, and I'm able to hit the Pidgeot with a +1 Fire Blast. Now, I did calc, and that showed me that this Pidgeot was 100% very bulky, and thinking that, okay, he could go for the Hurricane to knock me out right now, but odds are I'm not going to sack my Kang early. He knows that, and he's probably just going to go for the Roost or reveal another move. But either way, I'm not giving up my Kang this early. It can potentially do a ton of work against him, so I am going to switch out of here right now and go straight into my Cresselia just to potentially take the Hurricane and get a Toxic off on this Pidgeot. If he goes for the Hurricane, keep it low, or if he goes to the Roost right here just to scout my switch in, I do have Cress in, and I am free to just fire off a Toxic, which is what I'm going to do right now. If he goes in Scarm, then so what? I just go straight into Landorus or Scizor to get a knockoff and or Rocks Up. And then right here, knowing that, okay, I have a Toxic off on his Primarina. My Cresselia is in right now. Just seeing kind of what he wanted to do, because I knew that I could scout this Primarina. Like, if he wanted to go for, like, Timid Specs, then I was not 2-hit KO'd. If he was Modest Specs, then I would outspeed that. So I just wanted to get a bead on what this Cresselia was, and considering my best attack to hit him was Signal Beam, considering I already had the Toxic off on him, I just decided to go for that as he brings in his Hoopa, so I kind of look like a Lord right here, and I do get an over 50% roll. I do 50.8%, and at this point, I'm just like, okay, like, I know that that's probably a roll, but it was way, way, way too tempting to not go for, and so I do just stay in and go for another Signal Beam this turn and attempt to 2-hit knockout the Hoopa, as he goes for the frickin' Black Hole Eclipse. And Cresselia chews that. Like, admittedly, I used my Cold Barbarian. If I didn't, then I would die. But, I mean, Cresselia chewed a freaking Black Hole Eclipse from a Hoopa Unbound. And I am going to go for the Signal Beam and not quite get the knockout. So, yeah, I should not have been that risky right there. But regardless, Cresselia was actually the only thing on my team that would not have gotten knocked out by the Black Hole Eclipse. So that still was my best play right there, just to scout what this Hoopa was, see what it wanted to go for. And then knowing that my Landorus can take any hit and that he's not Scarf Hoopa or anything like that, I will be able to take at least one hit. I am going to go into there, potentially get up rocks, go for a knockoff, that type of thing, as he does end up going for the Dark Pulse right here. Now, I should have calced. I thought that that might have been physical damage on my Crest, and I was like, oh, Landorus can come in, get the Intimidate, just take a Hyperspace Fury, but instead I eat a Dark Pulse, so I was like, well, crap, now I can't knock off and get up rocks on this Hoopa, so I am forced to just go for the knockoff right here, as he does go for Snatch, and admittedly, I could have gotten rocks up right there, but I figured, you know what, Hoopa is way too dangerous to leave alive. I mean, at the very least, if he goes into Scarm, I get rid of his Rocky Helmet. I mean, if he had gone Mega Pidge, that was a great play, but I just end up knocking out this Hoopa as he does go for Snatch. So Hoopa is out of the way, although Cresselia is very low. However, I can heal up on things like Primarina, Skarmory, Infernape, depending on the set. So I will have to find a good time to get my Cresselia in and healing, as he does bring in his Mega Pidgeot, and I don't want my Landorus to take a hit. So I'm going into Crobat, and I know Crobat will get 2-hit KO'd by the Hurricane, but at the very least, I can get a gigantic hit off on this Mega Pidgeot, or if he decides to save it, I can live the Rocky Helmet plus Brave Bird Recoil that I will end up getting on the Skarmory if he chooses to go into that, which he does. And if he does go into Skarm, well, then I can just taunt that, keep that thing from getting rocks up, which I predict he will go for. I don't think he'll try to knock out my Crobat right here. I think he will try to get rocks up, thinking that I will want to preserve the Crobat or go for Roost or something like that. So I know that he's probably going to go for rocks right now, as this is a prime opportunity to get him up. And even if I taunt him, then I really can't do a whole lot. Even Heat Wave, like I showed you guys, barely 3-hit KOs. So I do taunt him right here as I catch him trying to set up Stealth Rocks, and I am just going to go for the Roost right here, get my Crobat up to decent health. That way I can potentially take a hit. Like, I won't just get knocked out by close combat from Infernape. As he does go Primarina, I'm going to switch into my Cresselia, just scouting out, see see maybe if I can take a hit. I mean, he is lefties, so I know that Specs will not be able to... So I know that he's not Specs, and he's probably more bulky Primarina, so this would be a perfect time to get my Cress in. As he does catch me on the double as he goes into Scarm, and this is a free Roost, Rocks, whatever Scarm wants, and I figure, okay, it's not yet quite worth healing up Cresselia. I think I have a chance to heal up, especially on that Primarina later in the game, and I decide to go into my Landorus right here, catch him as he's going to go for the Rocks, and thinking, okay, I can get my Rocks up too, pressure him to Defog, and go from there. As he is going to Brave Bird crit me and knock me out. Now that's unfortunate because the Brave Bird does crit me, but what this gives me an opportunity to do is to go into Scizor, and yes, it gives him a free Defog, but this also gives me a free knockoff with my Scizor to get rid of that Rocky Helmet, so that way, like, Brave Bird, future knockoffs will not be taking damage when I go for attacks. Heck, even attacks from Mega King will not be taking damage either. So I am just going to use this as an opportunity to go for a free knockoff on this Scarm. I take damage, but I have the lefties, I have the Roost, I should be just fine. And yeah, that's pretty much how it's going to go. Get the knockoff on the Scarm, that is great for me. And right here, I am going to switch out, go into my Crobat, because I think, okay, he's probably going to go into his, or he's probably going to go for like Roost, go for his own Rocks with Scarm, but he instead goes into Infernape, and once again, my switch wasn't exactly what I was predicting, but I end up looking like a Lord anyway as I go into Crobat, and I'm like, well, this actually works out really, really well for me. So now I'm going to scout out the Infernape, because if he is a Choice Scarf Infernape, he's going to stay in, click Flare Blitz or Stone Edge, and try to knock out the Crobat. If he's not Scarf Infernape, then he's going to switch out into something else, and then I can get in, like, he's going to switch into something else, and either way, Tentacruel has a good matchup on pretty much everything he has left except for his Mega Pidge, as I can knock something out. So I am just going to switch into Tentacruel, knowing it can take Scarf Stone Edge or Scarf Flare Blitz, as he does end up switching out into his Skarmory, and this is where offensive Tentacruel is going to pay dividends. Right now, I can go for just a Surf, and he will not expect that to KO, because he probably thinks that I'm like, that I'm more of a defensive Tentacruel, maybe Spadef to take on Mega Pidge a little bit better, maybe with a little bit of speed from Mamoswine, Primarina, that type of stuff. But I doubt he thinks that I'm going to be modest Tentacruel, and that allows me to catch his Skarmory off guard and KO it from there with the Surf. So offensive Tentacruel is coming through, and looking at the rest of his team, offensive Tentacruel just destroys everything. I mean, it potentially OHKOs Mamoswine, it OHKOs Infernape unless it's very bulky, Sludge Bomb for Primarina, Ice Beam once I have a little bit of chip damage on Mega Pidge. I mean, Tentacruel's looking good as he goes into his Mega Pidgeot right here. And I think, okay, so Tentacruel looks good right now. I know Mega Pidge cannot OHKO me with anything. I'm just going to go for a Surf, scout the damage a little bit more, and see if I can put this thing in range of Brave Bird from Crobat, or a +2 Bullet Punch from my Scizor. Potentially put me in a position to win the game. Sorry, I was like choking on something right there, choking on saliva more or less. But I do go for the Surf. It doesn't quite do half, as he is going to go for the Hurricane, and that does just over half and confuses me. Now I think, okay, I'm going to go into Crobat right here. He's either going to Roost, which is the most probable play, because he does not get KO'd by a Surf from here, and he can potentially stall out my Tentacruel if I don't get a crit while he slowly gains net HP. Or if he just goes for the kill on Tentacruel, then he'll knock out my Crobat on the switch-in, and I can bring Tentacruel back in and KO him with Ice Beam. So that's my train of thought right here. Like, okay, Crobat's going to come in. It's either going to get a huge Brave Bird off, which at this point, he has nothing left to resist Brave Bird, so I'm either going to get a gigantic hit off on Mega Pidge, or I'm going to get a kill. As it turns out, I do get the hit off on Mega Pidgeot, as he is going to knock me out. And Crobat, while it does not end up getting a kill in this game, it did so much. Like, right now, I'm in a position to win. Like, once I get rid of Primarina, Tentacruel just wins. Like, Tentacruel just wins by clicking Surf. So, I mean, yeah, Crobat did not get a kill, but being able to scout out the Skarmory, keep the Skarmory from getting rocks up, being able to get this hit off on Mega Pidge, and scare out the Infernape was absolutely gigantic. So Crobat, way to go. And I go into my Tentacruel right here, I'm like, okay, he's seen Surf. He knows that I'm probably going to click that, as it would get rid of his Mega Pidge and also cover Mamoswine and Infernape, but I decided to get a little aggressive, thinking there's no way in heck he's gonna... No way in heck, wow. That's PC me for you guys. But there's no way that he's going to go into Mamoswine on my Tentacruel that's already revealed to be offensive Surf. So I go for the Sludge Bomb right here. As I do catch the Primarina trying to switch in. That is an easy 2-hit KO. If he wants to go Mamoswine right here, be my guest. I will be able to switch into Scizor or Cresselia and take the hits from Mamoswine. And then Primarina would also have been low to where +2 Bullet Punch killed that too. So... yeah, great spot, able to take out that Primarina, and now Scarf Surf just kind of wins the game at this point. So he goes into his Mamoswine right here, and obviously I'm locked into Sludge Bomb. I decide, you know what, I'm not going to deal with that. As I go into my Crest, just kind of sack it off, scout to see what this Mamoswine wants to do as it goes for knockoff, and then thinking, okay, Crest is just going to die right here. Then I can go into Tentacruel and go for Surf as it will pick something off, or I can go into Scizor and potentially set up. But on the off chance that he decided to switch out, I went for Moonlight just because it would allow me to live a little bit longer. And lo and behold, he does switch out, I guess not wanting to give my Scizor the potential setup. And he goes into his Infernape as I am able to get up to full health. And now I thought about just Toxicking the Infernape right there, but I decided, you know what, if this is like Banded Infernape, I want to be able to scout that out, figure out what type of set this is, and he goes for Toxic, which really doesn't matter a whole lot on my Cresselia at this point, because I am just going to eventually, well, I mean, very soon, I'm going to Lunar Dance up my Kangaskhan, just because as soon as Kangaskhan comes in, nothing except for Infernape OHKOs it, and Double Edge gets me a kill, and whatever he decides to sack off determines what I will end up winning with. So yeah, Cresselia is in, and I'm at full health, so I decide, you know what, it's not worth just sacking it off, and... by the way, he does reveal right there that his Infernape is not Scarf, meaning that my Tentacruel really does just kind of win at this point. Like, there's really... yeah, it just wins. Like, Scarf Surf just knocks everything out, assuming that I get the roll on Mamoswine. So I'm in a great spot right here. I'm going to fire off a Toxic, just maybe lower the Infernape a little if he tries to go into Mamoswine, try to get that thing a little bit low, put it guaranteed in range of Tentacruel, and if he also wanted to go into Pidgeot, then that thing couldn't try to Roost Stall me in order to be out of range of Ice Beam and +2 Bullet Punch. So I go for that, catch the Pidge on the switch, and right here I'm like, you know what, Cresselia, you've done your job. I'm just going to go ahead and get my kill, Lunar Dance, bring my Kangaskhan back in, and now Pidge is in range, even if it goes for Feather Dance of Double Edge plus Toxic, so I am just going to go for Double Edge right now, claim my kill. He sacks his Infernape, meaning that I'm pretty much going to be able to win with my Scizor, because Infernape was the only thing standing in the way of Scizor. As he goes into his Mamoswine right here, I know I can live any hit bar Superpower, and if he goes Superpower, then that's an easy +2 with my Scizor. So I am just going to go for the Drain Punch, and I do over half, as he's not going to be able to 2-hit KO me with Icicle Crash, but at the same time I think, okay, he's faster than me. He is guaranteed Scarf Mamoswine. Like, there's no way he's faster than me unless he's Scarf. This is the perfect opportunity to go into Scizor and get to +2, which wins me the game. And unless he catches me on a brilliant double, which I don't think he will, because Kang can easily just go for another Drain Punch, then Scizor does get the guaranteed win, and I do get the 3-0 win. So, yeah, he does go for the Icicle Crash right there. He misses, does not matter at all, as Scizor is able to get that +2. And then at this range, even though his Mega Pidge is bulky, it's not living +2 Bullet Punch, so Mega Pidge goes down, Mamoswine will go down as well, and we are able to bounce back from the loss last week and move to 6-1 and actually are one game away from clinching a playoff spot. So once again, Scizor came through, Mega Kangaskhan did work, Crobat, the unsung MVP of this game, goes down as 0-1, but Crobat did a heck of a lot more work than it was able to show. I mean, that Brave Bird damage and preventing rocks was gigantic for me. So Crobat, thank you very much for what you did. And then also, by the way, Tentacruel could have won as well, but I decided to go Scizor because Tentacruel just was not in a position to win right there. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. That is the game. Hopefully we can come back next week and clinch. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.